reason I'm here today is I have a concern, a deep spiritual concern. And it may actually be more than a concern. It actually troubles me that we are missing something. I believe the prophets have missed something. I believe the church has missed something, and I believe we have missed something. Now, 1 Timothy 4, verse 1 says this. Now the Spirit expressly says, you got it? The Spirit of God expressly says that in the latter times, we all agree we're in the latter times, some will depart from the faith, giving heed to deceiving spirits or seducing spirits and doctrines of demons. The prophets, the church is waking up. The prophets have shown that what's happening in our country, what's happening in our society is demonic. There's no other way to explain it. Jonathan Cahn has talked about the return of the gods with the small g. They're demons from long ago that have come in. So it is, we cannot understand it because it's ludicrous, it's craziness. The only way to understand it is it's demonic. And I'm going to pass out, if somebody could help me, pass these out. Give one sheet to each person. And hopefully you have a pen. Okay. Whoever needs a pen, let me know.
There's someone on the shelf too.
Yeah. What I want you to do, I would like for you, what I would like for you to do is write down at the top the doctrines of demons that you think are in this country, in our society. And then we're going to talk about it. Because we have something here that I think we've missed. And it's very, very important. So try to get those written down. Think of all the things that you think are doctrines of demons. And doctrines means teaching, okay? Now, this is what we're missing, because I believe the demonic teachings are what allows the demons to come. The demonic teachings or doctrines are the portals or the gateways for demonic to come into our society. And I don't believe we're going to be able to cast them out unless we pull down and destroy those demonic teachings and strongholds. Because as long as those doctrines of demons are present, they're going to stay.
I have a question.
Question?
Are you talking about the church teaching them, or are you talking about society
Anything,
teaching them?
anything, yeah,
Okay.
anything and everything,
Okay.
inside and outside the church.
Oh,
We're going to
okay.
talk about some of those things too, but mainly in society. That's my focus here, okay?
Society. Okay.
Yeah, so the right for demons to be present in society is because the doctrines of demons are continually being taught. Okay, now are you done? How many, I'm not going to ask for everybody to read what they have, okay? Did anyone put down the theory of evolution?
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Now, did you all put that down because you read David's text? Because he gave away the secret right away. Okay.
I knew that first.
So,
That's good.
okay. Now, 2 Corinthians 10, 3-5. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but are mighty through God to the tearing down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought captive into obedience of Christ. Now, this, I have to emphasize, is we're talking about origins, we're talking about evolution and creation, Genesis 1. This is not something that's esoteric. Esoteric means, oh, that's just for a few people that are interested in that subject. And some say, well, it happened this way. Others say, well, it happened this way. Oh, I don't care. It doesn't make any difference to me. I just believe God. Okay, well, it is important for everyone's faith. Everyone's faith. Because unless we have a good grasp of Genesis 1, especially those chapters, Genesis 1 through 11, they're the foundation of everything in the Bible. Unless we have a good understanding of that, I ask you, how can you have a strong faith? Unless you believe there was a real Adam and Eve who really fell into sin, how can you believe that you are going to be resurrected? That you yourself, your body, will be raised from the grave? Well, if these things are just allegories on the first page of the Bible, you see where I'm going? It's very hard to have a strong faith. Unless you believe Christianity is historical, these things actually happen the way God said they happen, you would be likely to be one of those who buckle under persecution. However, if you really understand and believe these things, you're willing to go to death, because I believe in the resurrection. It's that serious. I want to increase faith. This is what the prophets, the churches, and we have missed, is the underlying root. I see this all the time. Christians are throwing rocks at the rotten fruit because I don't like abortion, I don't like transgender, LGBTQIA++ to Z. I don't like that. I don't like euthanasia. I don't like depopulationists who are filling the United Nations. They want to depopulate the world because they're radical environmentalists who exalt any life form, even on the bottom of the ocean, to equal or higher status than humans.
Right.
And they say we need to depopulate the earth, and people have said this in writing. We need to decrease the population of the earth so that nature can rebound. This is all rooted in evolution. Let me show you how this happens. Charles Darwin wrote The Origin of the Species in 1859. And right after that, academia in Europe, and soon after the United States, picked it up. Not because it's scientific, not because it was proven, but it was an alternative to the Bible. It was an alternative to Christianity, which they didn't like. And from that there are, I see, 4 major apocalyptic types. I'm not saying they are the horsemen, the 4 horsemen of the Revelation, but they're like them, okay? Don't misunderstand. But there are 4 things that have come out of the theory of evolution. Number 1, it's in science. And by the way, it was Christianity that gave hope to humanity that the creation that we live in makes sense. It's moral, it's rational, and it's ethical. And we can do something about it if we obey the Creator. And that engendered true science, which used to have as its goal, follow the facts no matter where they lead. Do you know what they're changing the definition of science to today? It is a major tenet, I'm trying to get the quote in my head, a major tenet of modern science is naturalistic origins and naturalistic processes. Well, if you cut out any possibility of the supernatural, guess what you're going to wind up with? You're going to wind up with natural processes. And they're floundering around. We're going to talk about some specifics here, but let me get on to these 4 types of horsemen, okay? Education. Okay, John Dewey, the supposed father of American education. He wasn't really, it was really pastors in one-room schoolhouses that taught school during the week and preached on Sundays. That's the real father of American education. But John Dewey, the supposed usurper of American, father of American education, said some of the saddest words I've ever heard. He said, I quote, "There is no God and there is no soul." Isn't that sad? Isn't that, it just breaks my heart for anyone to say that, because I know they're missing, they're in darkness. There is no God and there is no soul. Hence, there is no need for the props of traditional religion. He's not talking about Islam. He's not talking about Hinduism or Buddhism. He's talking about the Christian church. With dogma and creed excluded, then, listen to this, immutable truth is dead and buried. That's not all he said. There is no room for fixed and natural law or permanent moral absolutes. That's our educational system. And there is no hope, I say, there's no hope that America can be saved unless we cast this demonic doctrine out of the schools. Otherwise, it's a matter of demographics, and you have a new wave of secular humanists or radical Marxists, or you have socialists or anything in between, or fascists, coming out every year from the school system.
Amen.
Now, Ken, that's never going to happen. I can hear some people say, well, you know, I mean, most people would say that's never going to happen. Well, then I say America cannot be saved if that can't happen. But I'm trying to open your eyes to our fight. We do not gain anything by throwing rocks at putrid fruit hanging on a putrid tree. We have to take the axe to the root, as John the Baptist talked about. Okay? We've got to focus. Now, that's how The theory of evolution has gone into education. What else has it gone into? The second horseman, in my opinion, is political. Marxism, atheism, communism, socialism, secular humanism, even fascism are all rooted in belief in evolution. Hitler and his Nazis were very keen on this. We're a superior race because we are more evolved than other races. But the Bible says every human being has the image of God and is precious to Him. 100 million people innocent people have died under communism, almost in our lifetime. Right? The next horseman, in my opinion, is Mr. Sigmund Freud in psychology. And this goes into not only psychology, but it goes into social sciences, government, by expediency, and just everything rotten. Because he believed people are nothing but animals. In my psychology class, in a Christian college, okay, we're going to start with this. Basic needs: food, water, air, sex. Life is more than raiment, right? Jesus said that. Okay. The last one of these is liberal theology. Inside the church, Nietzsche said what?
God is dead.
God is dead. What he meant by that was we don't see God active in society today. That's what he really meant. So I'm not too hard on him, but they should have sought the Lord to bring God back into society. So those are the real target. Those are the real things that we've got to get to. Okay? Does God say what he means and mean what he says? That's a question you have to answer.
That's what I tell them all the time. I said, you said it, you don't lie, you mean what you said.
That's right. Now, I believe in the inspiration of the scriptures. I know you do too. But not only the inspiration of the scriptures, also that the Bible is inerrant. You believe that?
Yes.
And we always add in the original autographs or manuscripts. But we have thousands of those, and we're sure we have what God has said. Okay. But not only inerrant, I hope you also agree with me, I believe in the verbal inspiration of the scriptures, which is God, the Holy Spirit, who's the author, actually guided the writers over centuries using the exact words in their time, in their culture, in their situation to express what he wanted to express. Now that is very important in what we're going to get into. Because unless you believe that, it's easy to say, well, you know, I don't know how maybe God used evolution, maybe God had millions of years and each day is not a real day and on. Wait a minute. You're in allegory territory when we say that. Okay, let's get into something here. Okay. Has God really said? That was what he said. So that's his tactic. And what's happening here is that there are two revelations. Special revelation is the Bible. That's what it's called in theology terms. The Bible is special revelation. And we also have another revelation that Paul talked about in Romans chapter 1, which is called general revelation. Nature and all of creation has a witness to the truth of God. Paul says so. But we are so far removed from that most people cannot even fathom it, because David likes sunsets. I like sunsets. But when you talk to people, they'll say, no. That is just because of light refraction that makes pretty colors. What's the matter with you? It doesn't show God. It doesn't, because we know science, supposedly. And by the way, all of your religion is in your head. And by the way, I think we should take you to a special hospital and inject you with psychotherapy drugs like they did in the Soviet Union to make you think straight again. Do you see what a divide this has caused? This is the defining moment, or the defining separation. Jesus said, he was asked, are you going to pay taxes, Jesus? He said, well, show me a coin. And they showed him a coin. He said, whose image is that? Caesar's. Oh, then render to Caesar what's Caesar's. But he didn't stop there. He said, and unto God what is God's? What has the image of God? The money has the image of Caesar. We do. All people belong to God. All people are made in the image of God, and therefore should honor and respect God. Now, God is very, very keen on his own creation. Isaiah says this, I am the Lord who makes all things, who stretches out the heavens alone, who spreads abroad the earth by myself. The everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth. That phrase comes before, and they shall mount up with wings as of eagles. So, this is important to God, so it should be important to us. Now, we're moving ahead. When this theory of Darwin hit, it was so powerful. We've got to understand our own history a little bit. It was so powerful that church leaders and seminarians and pastors and bishops and so on were scrambling. They were not scientists. And they said, well, science has to be true, right? Remember the history? Christianity in the Bible is what raised up true science, and therefore science became understood to be truth. And suddenly, this is the general revelation of nature and creation. We're twisted by the devil, and he is using it to beat the church to death.
Yeah, but that was Fossey and he's gone. I'm just kidding.
It's a serious thing, because the true witness of nature tells the same story as the Bible. The Bible is superior and it has to be used to interpret nature, but nature, or the creation, actually does testify to the same story that's in the Bible. We're going to get into that. But during this impact time, it was a mess. So much so that Satan also was able to put two false theories inside the church, planted right inside the church. because of the shock that happened. One was the day-age theory, and the other is the gap theory. Now let's take the gap theory first. Just run through these very quickly. So it's out of your mind and out of your thoughts, and your faith will be stronger because of this. The gap theory says, well, if this is all true, we've got fossils of dinosaurs, we've got all of this stuff going on. Okay, we found a verse in Isaiah that said God did not make the earth void. And Genesis 1:1 says the earth was void and without form. So let's assume that before Genesis 1:1 and 1:2, there was another kingdom on earth. Satan was the king of that kingdom, and it was prospering and it was growing, and there were pre-Adamites all over the world, and suddenly, some reason we don't know why, but there was a rebellion, they sinned, and God came and wiped them out with the flood, and that's why those dinosaur skeletons are in the rock. And God started over with Adam and Eve. That is the theory. The only problem is there's no real biblical support for it historically throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament until less than 200 years ago. It's a compromise. The verse in Isaiah actually refers to the beginning, because in the creation week, we start with nothing and God increases complexity and things are getting better and better, and it hits perfection at the end of day 6. And then he rests. We'll talk about the opposite of that's happening now in the earth. It's called entropy. But that's the meaning of that verse. It wasn't that there was some kind of judgment. That's reading into the text. So that theory should be out the window. What about the day-age theory? There's a little bit more biblical support for that in a way, but not really. With the Lord, one day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. So this theory says, okay, well, if that's true, how about 1 billion? Each day is billions of years. Okay, that is another compromise theory that has sprung up within the last 200 years. It's not historical Christianity or Judaism. It's trying to hold on to something and stop and push back this attack from so-called truth in science. And it doesn't work either, because that verse in 2 Peter chapter 3 is talking about some people regarding God as being slow in his promises. Not actual time frames. It's only the perspective of people that is the subject of that verse. So it doesn't make sense at all to say all of these days of creation were billions of years. Number one, because plants were made on day 3 and would have had to wait billions of years until the sun, moon, and stars were created on day 4 to have photosynthesis, and they would not have survived, believe me.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so this does not make any sense, and evolutionary people reject all of that. It's only confused Christians that would accept this. Okay. So the day-age theory makes no sense. Now look, does God say what he means, and does he mean what he says? Evening and morning, one day. How could the writers have been more clear in trying to communicate to you and I that it was one day, like we experience? Evening, morning, one day. evening, morning. Day 2, evening, morning. Day 3, it's like that all through the 6 days.